You know you've made it as an author when your name is like 3 times bigger than the name of the book on the front cover. Okay, fine. You guys asked for it. Here it is, my reading vlog of Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson, the second book in the Stormlight archive. Full disclosure, I have already read about 160 pages of it, and I have a lot of things to say. This already is starting off so much faster than Way of Kings did. I'm already like, really, I don't know if I'm going to be able to put this one down. So Shillin'S, I'm really liking her in this. I'm liking her a lot better than I did in Way of Kings, because I feel like her story arc just totally took off. Jasnah's not dead. I don't care what anybody says. I don't buy it. I really don't buy it. Also, I have some interesting theories about PATRON and Syl, and how both Shillin'S and Cal and Jasnah all have these very specific spren that are attached to them.
I think that's really brilliant. My theory is that each Knight Radiant has a specific spren that attaches to them and kind of gives them the extra boost or whatever of power. The kind of spren they are correlates with the Knight's abilities to do certain things. So for example, Caledon has Syl, who's an honor spren, which makes sense that his abilities really focus on protecting people and, you know, warfare and that kind of thing. Whereas Shillin'S has a Y spren in PATRON, from what it sounds like, and that makes sense that she can like...
Jasnah, I know she said something about her cryptic or whatever it's called, spren. I don't think she actually at any point said what kind of a spren it was, but I think that would also be kind of interesting to find out what Jasnah's spren is, and we probably will later, because again, I don't think she's dead. Caledon, Dalinar, and Adolin all working together, and Renard. I'm loving that. And I will say, I feel like Caledon has kind of thrown himself into trusting Dalinar a lot faster than I think maybe his character would have. You know, there was a few moments in the beginning where he was kind of challenging Dalinar a little bit, and like here and there. I don't know. I just feel like he jumped into helping Dalinar and serving Dalinar pretty fast for where he's coming from. Sadeas, also, I'm just waiting at this point. You know what I'm talking about. I'm just waiting. Okay guys, so it has been a long time since I updated this reading vlog, and I have been reading like crazy. I'm having a horrible time putting this book down, which is part of the reason I keep forgetting to vlog. Wow, this is moving so much faster than Way of Kings, and so many things are happening. I am loving the Adolin Caledon bit going on right now, and how they are like so convinced that they're nothing like each other. Shillin'S meeting Caledon for the first time, I was dying. It's a really refreshing moment of comedy, honestly, because this book is like a lot of, as one of my friends described it, you know, it's a lot of murder and battle and trauma. And then this scene where Caledon and Shillin'S, and she's like, I am offend, give me your boots. I don't know how I feel about this right now, because Caledon and Shillin'S, I feel like Sanderson is moving them towards a romance, because obviously it's an enemies to lovers slow burn, like we hate each other, but we're both Radiants almost, and we don't know it yet. Also, the showdown between Caledon, Dalinar, Adolin, and Szeth was amazing. Caledon and Shillin'S have met, it was hilarious, and then when he sees her again and she comes to see Dalinar and she's like, oh, by the way, I'm not actually a horn eater, and he's like, I don't like you. But I was like, honestly, Cal, do you like anybody? Really? Not really. I'm so happy that when Adolin saw Shillin'S, that he was like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty and cool and redhead. And I was like, yay, I'm so glad Adolin wins because he likes redheads. Renard finally has a shard blade and a plate. This boy, I love him so much. Like, I want him to have all the good things, and I really hope that Sanderson keeps going with his storyline and gives him lots of love and affection. Also, the fact that Gaz showed up with Shillin'S and saw Caledon again after treating him like crap in the bridgemen. I almost said bridge burners. This is not Malazan. Coming back, and Caledon like way outranks him. It was great. I really appreciated that. interesting, and I'm really loving how Sanderson is interweaving a lot of the characters, like Gaz being Shillin'S bodyguard and meeting up with Caledon again, and now Dalinar's former clerk, or still clerk, who is part of this, like, take down the king faction. Moash, who is one of Caledon's Bridge 4 guys, I kind of knew something was up with him a while ago, and I was just kind of waiting to find out what. One of the things that I found really interesting as I'm getting, and PATRON really brought this out, because Syl takes more of a shape more often. She can become like a ribbon of light and stuff, but PATRON is really the one that brought this out. I also just finished reading Starsight by Brandon Sanderson, and something that he does in both Starsight and also here in Stormlight Archive that I find very interesting is that he takes the idea of giving something that is fairly non-material, like PATRON, or there's a character in Starsight that is literally just a smell that moves around through the air. She smells like cinnamon, but she's like this whole being, and it's not that they're invisible. They're literally just kind of semi non-material, I guess. I don't know how else I would describe them. He's not forcing himself to stay within the bounds of what we're familiar with. It's an adjustment to understand, like, that a voice and a personality and thoughts can be coming out of a pattern or a, aroma floating around in the air that's a whole character. And I just think it's really interesting that he really pushes the boundaries of what we as readers are ready to experience. Shillin'S, I know that she is a not quite radiant and that she has a spren. She has insanely good luck sometimes. I know that seems counterintuitive to her character, but she really does. Like, walking into a big group of highborn light-eye princes, and she just basically gets what she wants, and she was able to convince a group of con artists right away that she wasn't actually Shillin'S. He's been setting her up as a character to not be that talented at things all the time. So I don't know. There's a few things like that I'm kind of like, well, you know what? I'll just leave my suspension of disbelief up for that, and we'll see where it goes. Shillin'S brother also has a shard blade. Are the Radiants choosing families to come back to? Like, what? I'm so confused. What happened to her brother? Okay, at this point in the story, I'm basically looking at all of these characters and I'm going, if y'all just kind of worked together, you'd probably get where you're going a lot faster. This whole book is a fantastic representation of what happens when you don't communicate and you don't know who you can trust. Also, can we just say that the more lies that Shillin'S tries to tell about herself and the more masks she tries to wear, the closer and closer she's having to turn inward and address truths about herself and her past that she really, really doesn't want to confront. Man, her family is a mess. Like, I felt really bad for Caledon in book 1. This is a whole different kind of thing. Like, they both come from really horrible things, but they're just very different, I guess. I'm on page 600. This is really getting convoluted, and I'm like, guys, just talk to each other. Can you please just talk to each other? Okay, it's the next morning. I'm doing a little reading and lounging. Dalinar just announced that he's refounding the Knights Radiant and that Amaram is going to be the leader of them, which is... If Amaram has no abilities, why the heck would Dalinar appoint him as a Knight Radiant? Or, like, whatever he is supposed to be. The tension in this book, I can't handle it. Like, it is so palpable. You can just feel the tension coming off these pages. Everything's a mess. Shallan, these people just need to talk to each other. Oh my gosh. Like, Adolin needs to know what Shallan can do, what Caledon can do. Caledon and Shallan need to know what they can do. Dalinar needs to know what Caledon can do, but obviously now I don't trust him, and I can totally see why Caledon is having some irritation. No. No, 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 no. Adolin's dueling, and there are 4 opponents. If Sanderson kills Adolin, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm actually scared to read right now. Also, Sadeas. So I'm stress eating a sandwich. I put the book down for a few minutes because I was literally starting to feel some intense anxiety over the situation with Adolin. We're gonna take the kids to the park, and I'm going to bring the book, and I'm really going to hope that I don't end up making a giant scene in public if Adolin dies. Pray for me. If you know what happens, laugh at my expense. Okay. Renard just entered the duel to help Adolin, which, bless him, but now I'm freaking out even more because Adolin and Renard, both of them are in my top 3 favorite characters, and I'm really stressed out right now. And where the actual spren is Caledon? If they're being beaten in a duel and the rules state that they can now have help, and Dalinar's up here like, oh yeah, I'll go down there and I'll fight him and I just need a shard blade, and I'm like, okay, where's Caledon? Caledon's like been spending this entire freaking book saying that he needs to protect the Caledon family, which includes both Adolin and Renard and Dalinar. And if Dalinar goes down there, he's not going to be in good shape either. So, where is Caledon? When Renard stepped into the arena, Sanderson's good. He's good. He's a complete sadist, but he's good. I don't know if I'm gonna survive this scene. I'm on page like 650. I have 400 pages left. Sadeas and his pompous butt need to just go somewhere else. I'm gonna go inside. I'm going to attempt to impersonate a rational adult and continue reading and find out what actually happens. Okay, so we got to the cliffhanger at the end of part 3 where Caledon is arrested and everything sucks. After part 3 we have interludes with Lift, Szeth, and Eshonai. This is the first time where I have significantly questioned a choice that Sanderson made in writing this. After we have this really, really intense section with Caledon, Adolin, and Renard and Dalinar, and we've been following these characters for pages and pages, and even though it's coming from different perspectives, now they're mostly all together, so everything's kind of feeling cohesive. I get to the interludes, and I'm not gonna lie, even from book 1, the interludes have been 50-50 for me, where I just really don't care that much about these characters. And I'm sure they are important, and I'm sure that later on they will be more impactful, but right now they're so far apart oftentimes that it's hard to care about them or even remember if I've seen them before or what happened to them before. I'm having a really hard time with this because I feel like if he had started with Szeth, that would have been better in the interludes, because we just saw him a little bit ago. We know, okay, Szeth was really upset because he's always been told he was the only one with these kind of powers, and he's been treated horribly because of that, like, for years and years. So I'm invested in knowing where he's at. I want to know where he's at and what he's doing now that he's figured this out. Lift, I feel like would have been better in the middle, introducing her in the middle after Zeth, because then it gives me a chance to take a breath after this big duel and everything with Adolin. I don't like Lift. It literally is 26 pages of her, and I understand that she saved someone's life and all of this stuff, but I don't like her character at all. Like, at all. She's really bratty and frustrating, and 26 pages of it was a lot. Now, I'm not arguing maybe she comes back in later, and I've heard the name before, so I'm sure she's this wonderful, lovable character that everybody likes. I personally couldn't stand her perspective, and there was a lot of it. Honestly, Eshonai isn't really my favorite either. I'm not really caring about her character too much either. I really love Shen, who was the bridge for Parshman. I really liked his character. He was really interesting, and the Parshendi in general I'm very curious about and fascinated by. For some reason, Eshonai just... she feels too flat. Like, there's... I don't know. I haven't really liked her so far. So Caledon just came out of his cell, and Adolin shut himself in a cell as long as Caledon was in there, because that's my boy. They've bonded over this experience, and they're finally, like, talking to each other and being nice to each other, and they're like, I'm gonna not say it too loud, but they're kind of friends, sort of, a little. Amaram, by the way. Like, yes, I really want Sadeas to get his comeuppance, but I'm just as invested in Amaram getting what's due him. So Shallan and Cal are in the chasms together. There's no way they're not going to find out about the other one being a surge binder or whatever it is they are. I'm so excited. Somebody's gonna know something about someone. The farther I get into this series, the more I question Dalinar's intellectual abilities. He's supposed to be this really tactical genius, but I really don't feel like he is. Like, at least with the politics side of things. Because a lot of the stuff that's happening, I feel like Dalinar should definitely have seen coming. Shallan just summoned her shard blade with Caledon, and he saw it. Oh my gosh, this is so awesome. Wow. The death of Shallan's father, and wow. I knew that she was responsible for it, but I was expecting something with the shard blade or something like that. This was so... I think because I was expecting that, this was just... wow. Okay guys, really quickly, I really love that Navani takes Shallan under her wing finally. I'm hoping that turns into a more motherly relationship because they both need each other. Hi guys, it has officially been 4 days? 3 days. 3 days. Time is no longer relevant. I think it's been 3 days since I finished this book. Honestly, I needed to give it a few days because I had so many emotions swirling around in my head that I would not have been able to put 2 sentences together about how I actually felt about this book and the characters in it. Way of Kings is a amazing first discovery of this world, the characters, some incredibly powerful character moments. This book is just an emotional ride. The ending was actually kind of hard for me just because there was so much tension and the battle was so crazy, and then there was this like just drop, and I kind of felt like the floor got pulled out from underneath me, and there were so many chapters after that that I struggled to get through them just because it felt like I was still reeling from the battles and things happening. So far, Sanderson is keeping with the typical, we're not going to kill any of the main characters because Yasna's not dead. Do you guys remember at the beginning of this video what I said? Yasna's not dead. Yasna's not dead. Things that I had a problem with in this book. I understand that he was trying to make us think that she was dead. He really didn't do a very good job of it. It was so blatantly obvious that she wasn't dead that I never for a moment, I was just like, okay, when's she gonna show up again? Second of all, and this is probably just a personal preference thing, but I am not a fan of love triangles at all. It was also blatantly obvious that Brandon Sanderson intends to take us down a love triangle path with Cal, Shillin'S, and Adolin. I'm really not here for it, and I'll be perfectly honest, I am 150% team Shillin'S plus Adolin, but I'll survive, I think. Syl's death was another one that I did not take seriously, to be perfectly honest. It just felt, neither her nor Yasna's deaths felt realistic enough for me to buy into them. Dalinar also in this book shows himself as a battlefield tactician, not as a politically savvy strategist. We'll just put it that way. Also, the very end of the book, I felt like Sadeas's death was kind of rushed and just not, I don't know, it was kind of like Brandon Sanderson got to the end of the book and he knew that Sadeas was going to get killed at some point, but then he was just like, oh, I haven't killed anybody really yet, so I should probably do that. Based on all the other things that have happened in this book, I'm half expecting him to show up and be resurrected at some point in book 3. I sincerely hope that doesn't happen, but you never know. As heart-wrenching as it's going to be, I really hope that Brandon Sanderson actually pulls the trigger on somebody at some point. In this book, I was so frustrated every time I got to an interlude because I really didn't care that much about the characters. They were so far apart that I couldn't remember what had happened to who or if I'd seen this person before. I don't know how to feel about this book. It was really good. Really, really, really good. And incredibly emotionally taxing. Shillin'S backstory, she definitely became a character that I cared a lot about in this book, which was an improvement from book 1. So, her backstory was incredibly intense. I would say that was probably one of the top most intense bits of this entire book, was the scene where leading up to and then her father dying. I'll be honest, I didn't expect Sanderson to go that dark. I really didn't. He usually doesn't that way, and I was kind of surprised by that. Honestly, I'm sure that this wrap-up is like super non-thrilling, but I don't really know what to say. Like, I'm just so, there's so much to say about this, and I think I'm going to have to go into some kind of deeper dive on different aspects of the story in other videos because there's just so much to talk about in this series. I am planning on vlogging Oathbringer when I start it, but I'm going to be taking a little break from Stormlight for a little bit just to rebuild my tattered emotions. I appreciate you. I hope you are all happy and healthy, and I will see you in my next video.